Hello everyone, and welcome to the demonstration of how to make this thermal stitch pot holder. You will need 100% cotton yarn for heat sensitivity. I am using the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton in this demonstration. It is a medium weight 4 yarn. You will also need an H hook, a yarn needle for weaving in the ends, a pair of scissors, and I have a leather tab on the corner of these just as a finishing detail. That is optional. I will put a link in the pattern to these. I found these tabs on Amazon. I will also include instructions on how to crochet a loop for hanging if you would prefer that. And of course, you can just make it square and leave a nice clean edge if you prefer that look as well. Let's go ahead and get started. This pattern will be worked by holding 2 strands of yarn together. I'll begin by making a slip knot. The pattern is also easily adjustable. If you would like your pot holder to be bigger, for example, simply make your foundation chain row longer or add more stitches. I'm going to chain 29. You will then add on as many rows as needed to simply square off the pot holder. So let's start by chaining 29. Okay, there are 29 chains in my foundation chain row. The closest chain to the hook is my turning chain, so I'm going to place 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And I'm going to place 1 single crochet all the way across my foundation chain row to the end of the row. So by the time I get to the end of this row, I will have made 28 single crochets. Here I am coming to the end of row 1, my last single crochet here, and I'm going to chain 1 to turn. And our chain 1s moving forward and throughout the pattern do not count in our stitch count. So with the thermal stitch, if you can see from one of the completed pot holders, you get this nice thick fabric, and you're simply working in a row, but you're making it with double thickness with this 2 strands together, and the way we're going to complete this stitch as we go along, it just gives it that thickness as we make it up. For row 2, we're going to make 1 single crochet in the back loop only all the way across. So here's my first stitch. Here's those back loops. Since we're working with 2 strands held together, you're going to yarn over and pull through and make a single crochet only in the back loops all the way across. You'll see those front loops start to kind of come out here, and that will matter here for row 3. Coming to the last stitch here, back loop only, last single crochet, and I'm going to chain 1 to turn. Give myself a little bit more yarn to work with here. And here's where we really get into our thermal stitch. So for row 3, we're going to insert our hook here into those back loops again, but then we're going to take our hook and go up under both loops of the front loops that we didn't work in the last row. So let me, if you can see here, I'm going to try to zoom in, but here's my chain for turning. My very first stitch of the row is right here. So I'm going to insert into those back loops. There's 2 of them because we're working with 2 strands of yarn held together. And then you can see the loops of that front loop only that we didn't do because we worked in the back loop only of the last row. And I'm going to slide the hook right under those. I'm going to yarn over and pull up 2 loops from both strands, just like I'm making a single crochet. Yarn over and pull through to create the single crochet. So let's do that again. Back loop only here. I'm going to go under those, I'm going to slide my hook up under the front loops from the previous row, yarn over, pull my working yarn through both of those. Now I have, my 2 sets of loops on the hook to create my single crochet. So yarn over and pull through. And we're going to continue to do that all the way across until we turn. And then that will be what we do for every row until our pot holder measures 8 inches squared. So once you get going, you don't really have to think about it, and it creates that thickness so that we're doing this like double thick, 2 strands work together pot holder, but all in one stitch. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 3 here, and I just want to show you, this is what I'm talking about with your last stitch can get a little tight. Mine certainly does, because my back loops are right here. You can see them. And then my front loops are closer. They're just right there. So it can be easy if you're not paying close attention towards the end to drop a stitch. And if you need to check yourself every once in a while, that's okay. But once you're able to recognize the end, it becomes easier and you don't have to think about it much. But you'll just chain 1 and you'll turn. And we're, like I said, it's just a repeating row from this point forward until we get the width that we need for our pot holders. So you're going to go into those back loops, and then you're going to grab those front loops from the previous row. Pull through both and single crochet, and continue to do that all the way across. So let's go ahead and keep completing the rows that we need and join back here after our pot holder is the appropriate height to make our square, and I will show you how we finish this off. Okay, here's my last stitch. I'm going to go up under those stitches, single crochet, and chain 1. And I've completed my square. You may have to shape it a little bit after working with it, but we're going to turn. And so the final row to finish this off is going to be a little bit different than the others. We're still going to work in single crochets, but instead of going into the back loops for this last row, we're going to go up under the front loops. So I'm going to go up under those front loops and then reach down here and go under the front loops here of our previous row, just like we were doing before, and make a single crochet. The only difference is we're going to go under the front loops for this very last row, and then grab the front loops from the previous row. Make sure I dropped a front loop. It's so hard for me to see doing this on camera. There we go. And we're going to continue to do that all the way across. And it's just finishing off our pot holder and kind of evening out that step down that we had, making the thermal stitch. Once I put a few more in here, I'll turn it over so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, let's turn it over. Maybe I've made enough. But there you can see it's kind of leveling off our last row with that border. So let's go ahead and get all the way to the end. Last stitch here, and I'm going to fasten off. Again, you might need to do some gentle shaping. Now we're going to weave in the ends. So I've got my starting tails down here. You can weave in both the starting tails and the finishing tails. And if you'd like, I'll show you how to place that final little leather loop detail to give it a just polished here's my completed pot holder, nice and thick. You can see the double layer. And for a finishing touch, you could stop here if you want. You could crochet a loop on the corner, and actually I'll pop that into the pattern. If you want to just make a little crocheted loop and put to hang it, that's totally fine. That's easy enough, and I will go ahead and add that to the pattern. But if you want it to have just like this little finishing detail right here, I pick any corner. You can also get bigger leather loops. I just wanted a small one because I don't hang my pot holders. I just keep them in a drawer. But I'm going to pop out these little circles. They're kind of perforated on there. Get them out of my way. And I'm going to just put this on the side, just like this. So you have this brad to hold it in place. Mine are gold. And I'm going to push it through just like this. Actually, I want it one stitch lower. And then you take on the back side, you take that brad, hopefully you can see, and you push it through that leather piece on the other side. Once it's through like that, you can take the other end of the brad and it fits right over top. And you're gonna have to squeeze it together until you feel it pop. It's kind of like a safety eye. You'll feel it pop. And again, I just wanted this small little detail. They do make these bigger. You could hang it off the corners, so you could actually use the leather loop to hang it from. But I just wanted a tiny finishing detail to make this more like store-bought look along with the homemade. And that is it for the pattern. Again, I will include a crocheted loop if you want to pop that in so you can hang it on a hook. You can buy these leather loops bigger if you would like to hang it off of a leather loop, or if you just want the detail, I will put the links for those in the pattern. So thanks for crocheting along, and I hope you enjoy it.